Hello, and welcome to Gathering Momentum for Your Life. This is an interactive devotional, so I hope that you guys are ready for us to have some fun interacting and connecting on our different topics that we have. And this is weekly, and so we meet every Tuesday at 3 o'clock. And well, that's 3 o'clock Pacific time. So for those of you, I'm sorry, 3 o'clock Eastern time, but for those of you in the Pacific, that would be at lunchtime. So hope that you guys are able to join me next week and in the weeks following. So today, what we are doing is we are going to focus on another area of our journey. We are using this book here. Let me see if I can pull it up. Called "Momentum: The Journey Begins: A Modern Day Parable and Devotional." Now, for those of you who may not have joined me before, I'm Christine Caston, and I just want to let you guys know that I am so excited that you're here as a part of this conversation. For those of you who are here, go ahead and start letting me know that you're here. If you happen to be on last week or have seen last week's talk, then I would just love for you to share if you had any images of purity that you found, or if you want to share maybe something that God showed you. Feel free to go ahead and start posting that. I'm looking forward to seeing what you have to share and what you might be able to bring over from last week. So, but as we are looking for this week, we're going to continue in the same chapter that we're in. And this chapter is one that is still somewhat of an introductory chapter into the story. This whole book is a parable or an allegory, which is a story that uses imagery to convey spiritual truths. And so it was written using a lot of scripture, using a lot of understanding of what the Lord is releasing to us in this time. And so I hope that you are encouraged by what we are able to uncover. Today, we're just going to talk about one part of this chapter, or of this, what's in each chapter is a prayer, an impact prayer. And so today we're going to actually read the impact prayer. A lot of this chapter is based on 1 Peter 2:9, and I think you'll see that as we continue to explore a little bit of the chapter. But what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of talk about some ways that the Lord prepares us. So if you're here with the chat, feel free to share some ways that the Lord prepares you when you're about to go into a new season, or when something's happening in your life. He prepares you in a way that brings you into a readiness for what is going to happen. Now, that being said, I wish that he would prepare you 100% and you would know everything that was going to happen in that next season. But he knows that we have a tendency to run on our own if we don't have any reliance on him. So he gives us what we need to step into it, but he also is often preparing us even more along the way. But let's talk about it. Sometimes when we're being prepared, God uses some things that are a little bit unexpected, right? There are things that will come into our life, and we'll sit there and say, well, wow, I did not expect that to happen. I did not expect that situation to occur. I didn't expect that person to say what they did or act the way they did. So let's talk about the unexpected things. Sometimes the unexpected is people. Sometimes people are in a process of their own transition, and sometimes they become, I love what Graham Cook says when he calls them grace growers in our lives. And then there are other people. Hey, hello, it's good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for posting. It's always good. Cole, I'm glad that you are a part of this conversation today. We are looking at what unexpected ways God uses to prepare us. So we've talked about people sometimes are used to be a way that God prepares us. Sometimes it's timing, because a lot of times we're so excited to run ahead into something and God's saying, whoa, wait. Or we may be people who tend to drag our feet a little bit, and God's saying, it's now, step into it. So he knows how we are, and he knows how we're wired, and he knows just how to prompt us and get us ready for what's coming next. So that's another way. Another thing that he does is he prepares us with unexpected materials or training. Like maybe it might be a life experience that we we go through, and then we realize as we reflect on it, as we talk to the Lord about it, we start realizing how He's using that particular situation or experience to take us into a preparation ground so that we're ready for what's to come. Sometimes it's knowledge that we really don't know that we need, and God is going to give us. um, Cole says he's certainly a foot dragger. Yes, so God would have to come and say, "Okay, come on, you can do this. Let's go." And so there's something about being in that place where God is allowing things around us to prepare us. He's giving us the knowledge. He's helping us recognize the materials that we need. He's helping us understand the timing that is perfect. And He's helping us either connect to people that are going to help us in our journey, or people that might challenge us in such a way that we're able to move into a place of purity. Because every time we meet someone who is a grower of our grace, the Lord is allowing things in us to be recognized that maybe are shortcomings or gaps or areas of immaturity that we still need to address with Him. And there could be areas of wounding too. There could be places where we haven't healed enough. And so in those time, what He's doing is He's kind of stirring the pot a little bit for us, and He's opening us up to a place of purity and a place of preparation. And when we go through times of crisis, because sometimes those preparation grounds are actually a crisis that comes into our lives, and it can draw us together, or it can actually draw us apart, depending on where we are in our journey with the Lord, what our areas of maturity versus immaturity are, and how much time we've spent truly developing in our relationships together. And I really kind of want to focus on that just for a minute. There's something I think that is on hand for us in this time and season. And we know that church is a fellowship. The body of Christ is about fellowship, which is about being together, right? It's about connection. But I think that over the last church history, the most recent church history, a lot of our relationships have actually become so surface that we don't know how to truly be together in a crisis situation. We don't necessarily know how to stand with each other. And part of that is because you can't really stand with people as solidly or as strongly until you really know their heart. And knowing their heart is something that is built through relationship. It's through getting to know each other. It's through taking the time to be vulnerable. Oh, I know that's a hard one, but to actually be real, to not put up a facade, but to really be open with your heart, and also to be a person who creates a safe place for that, so that in the process of sharing, we're also creating a safe place where we aren't going to use information against people. That actually is an area of immaturity. If you get information from people that's a vulnerability, and then you try to use that to control or manipulate, you've got some growing to do, just a little bit, because that's not God's heart for people. So it's important that we realize that. And I'm just wondering if any of you out there have an area where you have uh, an idea of something that you do to create safety for people, a safe place for people to be able to communicate with you and to connect with you. So if you have that, go ahead and pop that in here to the chat. In the meantime, I'm going to just share a little bit of ways that I do that. One is eye contact. I do look people in the eye. I do take the time to be present in the moment, because I believe that that's important. If my mind is running and I'm not really engaged with them, I'm distracted. People know that, right? So really taking the time to just kind of let everything else be laid aside, and to really focus on that one person and to value them in that moment. I think that's really important for creating a safe place. We've got a comment here, and that is, trying to make people feel comfortable and included in things, making a point of bringing in people I feel are being excluded. That's really, really good. That's something that we can always be aware. There's an awareness that we can have toward, especially if there's multiple people in a group, to making sure everyone's included. To look at them and say, "Hey, do you have something you want to share, or that you want to add to this conversation?" Because people, especially introverts, aren't necessarily going to be able to um, just jump in. It's not as easy for them. And sometimes extroverts, especially those that may be more insecure, may be monopolizing the conversation because that's how they deal with their nervousness. So it helps to help guide the conversation, to create a place where everyone feels included and everyone feels connected. And that's a great addition to what it is to be in a relational relationship as opposed to one that's just on the surface and isn't truly a relationship. So one of the things that this particular chapter carries is an impact prayer, and that impact prayer is really a prayer for God to prepare our hearts. I think that there's something that's really valuable about walking in a place of humility that also creates a safe place for people. In that I'm not waiting to have my turn to talk, or nor is it important that I have what I need to say into the conversation in the sense of I have to say something. But if it's appropriate and I feel like it's something that would add value to the conversation, then of course I'll say something. But it's important for us to really make that space for people to communicate, to connect, to talk with us, because there's something about being in relationship that I think is very important for the next season that we're stepping into. I think that some people are calling it this new era, this move of God. How God is moving right now really has more to do with how to develop that relationship and to be connected in a way that's beyond the surface. So I encourage you to practice that over the next week for sure. But before we get there, let's just read this prayer. And if you just let these words wash over you and open your heart as they do. Father, prepare me. Make my heart ready for what is to come. I open my life to you. Fill me to capacity, then stretch me and fill me with more of your heart. I come humbly before you. If you find any pride in me, please grant me the grace to recognize it and offer it to you. Thank you for the times of fiery trial. In those times, I choose to turn my heart to you. I desire to be a purified vessel. You can tap into those trials to shape me. Then whatever ashes remain, you will blow them away and reveal the eternal treasures that cannot be destroyed by the fires of this world. Thank you for the hope of tomorrow. Thank you that I can declare your majesty and sovereignty in my life. I am yours. So I just wanted to thank you guys for joining me today. These interactive devotionals are very short. I know that we could go a lot longer and have more time for conversation and comments, but I really want you to just think about how is the Father encouraging you through this prayer. And if you'd like to listen to it again, these are recorded and placed on the social media posts, so you're welcome to go ahead and listen to it again, share it with your friends, have conversations about it, and really dig into this part about the fiery trials of life and how, when those ashes are blown away, the eternal things that are left, and some of those eternal things have to do with our relationships with each other. So I encourage you to really practice this week as you are in the process of connecting to people. Go beyond the surface. Take the time to be present in the moment. Take the time, like one of our posters shared, to make people comfortable and to be included in things and bring them in. And I hope that you are blessed and encouraged. I look forward to seeing you next week. We'll be asking some more questions, but also we'll be covering some more aspects of that verse that I told you about with 1 Peter 2:9. So I'll talk to you guys later. Y'all have a good one.